said there's a lot of these guys this weekend. It's round 3, halfway through the season. There's a lot of guys this week.
Selamat datang di Lagu Anti Ribet Club, dunia yang santai dan penuh kemudahan.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to round 2 of the Drift Masters European Championship. The sun is shining, we're close to the Arctic Circle. We're here in Sweden at the Drive Centre Arena, a beautiful facility built just a couple of years ago, and it will be the stage for an amazing event this weekend. Today, our attention turning to qualifying. My name is Dave Egan. I'm going to be joined by my good friend and colleague Ian Whitington. We're going to be talking you through all the action, and boy, have we got some action coming up. One of the fastest tracks on the circuit, the championship fight heating up, and the drivers already feeling the pressure in practice. Ian, it's going to be very competitive. Zone. This is very nice all the way to that last center. Can he get there early to the wall? Looks like he can. That's how you do it. Jakob Kroll on a flyer.
Wow, Jakob Kroll, we mentioned him before. We said he can be unpredictable. We've seen him come alive in top 32 battles before, and he loves those top 32 battles. This, for me, was an incredible qualifying run. He was laying down some incredible practice runs earlier on today. And again, look, that line into outside turn 2, perfect. He does make contact with the wall, didn't really upset the steering. He could make a small correction, but nothing too harsh. And look at this, dials on the angle, mid-track transition, just keeps himself clean there. Doesn't get to that outside zone as wide as what we'd like, but he definitely makes the rest of the circuit work perfectly. It's a nice run from Jakob Kroll, sorry. Lovely job. He'll be very
I mean, I'm just watching back trying to find any little, I think maybe the little handbrake drag on initiation was a little bit, maybe more tentative, but it paid off.
But it
because,
paid off,
yeah, the worst thing you want to do is smash into the wall and then the rest of the run is gone.
Of course, and Kevin O'Connell said there will be points deducted for small handbrake adjustments throughout the circuit, but still not that bad, and it isn't that bad. It's a 79 for Jakob Kroll. He'll be very, very happy with that.
Yeah, I think the style is just the commitment on the first corner to a couple of the corners. Maybe it could be a little bit more aggressive on angle, but you know what? I think it's the clever way to play it here is to get a good score on the board. He's pretty much an 80 there.
Yeah.
For quite a safe banker run. I like it.
Well, we could end up with a lot of 80s by the end of today, that's for sure. Mikael Johansson comes off the line in this BMW E46 2JZ, 1,000 horsepower. The Swedish driver looking to do well. He's initiated way at the wrong part of the circuit, completely misses outside zone 1 now, jumps into outside zone 2. He's already bleeding points here, looks for the transition back, wheel up on the curve. This one's starting to fall apart for Mikael Johansson, and I think some nerves have crept into this one. But Johansson, as he looks for the transition back, wheel on, he's on a big angle, he's going to have to work now to get to the outside zone. He's on an odd line across the line.
You know what, I actually quite liked it because he made some errors and he recovered from all of them, which is really unusual because no one else
seems to be able to do it.
Like, this is an error, he misses the outer zone, he's on the inside of the track and think, well, he's just going to be in no man's land. And all of a sudden, nope, there he is, on outer zone 1, does a pretty good job there of getting to the outside zone. He's absolutely buried in the wall all the way through there, even if he got there in an unusual way. And then he transitions back. This, as you mentioned, a little close to the curb means he's a little late to this, and he's not as wide as we'd like to see. But then he kind of recovers a little bit here, gets to the outer zone. And this transition for me is probably a little too snappy. Put a bit too much angle on. Doesn't get up early, but then he still gets to the wall, gets to the zone. So he's getting there, but not in the correct way, and the judges will be watching that. So while he's collecting the line points, his fluidity probably isn't maximized.
No, of course not. And that is where he's going to lose a lot of points. And you can see there. We just get to the outside zone earlier. So that
you're a little harsh on him. I was like, you know what, he's doing all right. 64. You're right, though. How he got there does
determine
the score.
Yeah.
But I liked it. So, and it counts for nothing.
It counts for nothing.
No.
What you like and what I like.
All these buttons in front of me don't make scores go up, that's for sure. And well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to make hands go up because next on the line, it is the incredible and maybe sometimes unstoppable unless his car breaks down. Kalle Rovanperä, the current WRC champion, youngest WRC champion in history. And the Finnish fans, well, they're a big fan of this young man. And this guy is about to take to the track in this incredible Toyota Supra. Rovanperä firing in an absolute run on the wall, but this is very aggressive and almost maybe too aggressive. Smashes into the wall twice. This is almost overdriving the car through the first section, and he's lost a lot of Supra through that first section. As he stays going, he's able to control it. Oh, the wheels come off the car. The wheel has come off the car. Those hits with the wall have snapped the suspension. And the wheel just absolutely, it was actually the suspension, not the wheel, just gave way on the back of the car. Wow, look at these scenes as he's dragging the rear wheel all the way home. Well, if the fans wanted their money's worth, they got the WRC champion absolutely kamikazing it into the first corner, smashing the wall. I thought he got away with it, but he didn't get away with it. That was a big hit.
He overdrove it, Dave. You called it straight away. He overdrove it. Look, he's been firing these initiations in practice, and he looked unstoppable. Everyone said he is a contender for first
because
place
you see, he's not content in his nature as a champion, as one of the most talented drivers in the world of
to
motorsport.
go 50%.
Yeah, he's not. No, he's trying for a 100-point run here.
He's not 50%.
He's not trying to get an 80 or an 85. Like, this is depth-defying stuff. But as he came through, he's on full throttle, but he's trying to control it. He can't.
Look at
He
that.
bounces it. That's a big hit on the wheel. Now watch the back wheel again. Take another little hit here. So at this point, all the way to the cars on that rear right, he doesn't really have to put it back on that rear right for a little while. You'll see what I mean. So obviously, big stress test on the rear suspension there. Then he bounces off, but he bounces sort of into it again here. So you can imagine that rear right now getting a little bit shaky. But when he transitions all the way, you see the wheel's gone there.
Man, it's gone
So the
already.
wheel is gone there. It's still smoking. It's still attached to the drive shaft. But as he transitions back, the wheel just says, I don't know what you want from me here. I'm not even attached to anything. And then the car finishes the run with a wheel. So in Sweden has a fire. In Finland has the wheel come off. You know what? He's still got a very good chance of qualifying if he gets it all fixed up, which I'm sure the team will be able to. Look at that wheel. It's trying to get out of there. Have you ever seen anything quite like that?
Not for a while.
Not for a
Not
while.
for a while. It's been a while.
That wheel is just doing. Look at it. It's doing its own thing. Just going. Oh, it's going the wrong direction for the first part, and it's still spinning.
I think the only thing holding it on is the drive
The
shaft.
drive shaft is the only thing holding on. The suspension
Look,
is left the
everything
building.
underneath. Look, the drive shaft. You can see it obliterate underneath the car.
Wow.
That slow-mo is incredible. Well, there we go. It's a zero. It's a zero on the board for Kalle Rovanperä, and the bonnet's open as well. So I'm not sure if they have extra issues down there on the circuit. I can see Rovanperä out the window,
And the bumper stack begins.
and it begins. And there's some expensive bumpers down there. There's a lot of carbon fiber down there.
I'm not too sure what if the plan here is to try and tow it or to lift it. Maybe is it take the front bumper off so they can get it on the recovery truck without damaging it? I'd say that's probably what it is. But
There's a full carbon fiber body on the car.
as you do.
As you do, you
Just
just
full carbon fiber Toyota Supra, brand new, with a ton of horsepower. I mean, an absolute ton of horsepower. But I'll tell you one thing.
wow, you can just see the extent of
I'm
the
just trying to.
damage there.
Yeah, you can see that car did quite some drifting with nothing attached on the back. But the marshals here in Finland, well prepared,
Yeah.
and able to take that car onto the recovery truck. And again, he's a man that doesn't want to see many more recovery trucks in Drift Masters, really, does he? Fire inside the dashboard of the car in Sweden, stopping his run in the top 32, or was it qualifying?
Top 32. Top
Top 32, yeah. And then he comes here, the first run of qualifying. I mean, it's self-inflicted, to be honest, because he hit the wall.
Yeah.
So the car didn't let him down there. He went in faster, more aggressive than any driver has I've seen in practice or this qualifying session, and it was a little hidden hope for me. I think he went in thinking this will be absolutely fine. I'll absolutely fire it in, and as you can see, he loses the back end a little bit here. Now he's on full throttle. That car ain't slowing down. He's coming in way too fast. That's a big hit. Now I thought he might get away with it, but then he had to kind of throw it again. And I would say at this point that suspension is on its way out.
It's already,
And then once we see the transition here, watch the suspension just completely gives way. Do you know what? It's probably gone since the wall.
Yeah.
If we saw it from the other angle, I'm not sure there is another angle, but I'm pretty sure when he hit the wall that happened. So, and he's still trying to continue the run, which is brave in itself. But I'm pretty sure he would have realized when he transitioned that something is very wrong. One of my wheels is not even. It's like a shopping trolley that one of the wheels got stuck on.
Yeah, one of those annoying ones.
One of those annoying ones. Like, I can't move it down the aisle. So Kalle Rovanperä I'm sure they have the spare parts to fix that suspension problem. So we will see him with a one and done run in the second half of qualifying, and he has to get a score on the board. That he can't afford to go that maybe aggressive. So we'll see how he plays it. But interesting scenes in Finland already.
Yeah, certainly is. And you know, I was just thinking when you said a one and done, I'm just thinking, how is it going to sit? Well, let's have a look at the current qualifying standings. Koblinsky with an 87. And then look, 8th and 80. This is going to be a tight qualifying session. I think we're going to get a lot of big scores all the way through. Clint Van Ort down there is 16th. Tobias Pushan in with 75 and 12th. Felix Lindvall in the show.
And interesting to see why we've 4 Finns in the top 8.
4 Finns so far, yeah, in the top
But then
8.
there's also been a lot more Finnish drivers than everyone else so far. So
Christina Alto, the first female driver in 18th at the moment. We're almost rounding it out, and there we go. For the final score, 27th, Jonathan Haas.
that is a hugely stacked collection of zeros there.
A big
Like a lot of it, very, very talented drivers with a 0. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the second half of qualifying. Sun is shining for the moment here in Finland. Some clouds threatening around. We hope they'll stay away. But as you can see here, absolutely packed scenes. The Finnish fans welcoming the best drivers from Europe here to Finland. And it's been an incredible journey for these fans to come and support their drivers all over Europe, now to bring the championship back to their own home turf. And the hospitality, everything has been incredible since we've got here, absolutely top-notch. And I got to go on some roller coasters at a drift event, which I've never done before.
I was working hard, as always, and you were having fun in the theme park.
I was scientific researching, and I had to see if it was a real roller coaster.
Right,
I can confirm.
It's a real one.
Yeah, my colleague left some of his lunch on the ground after, and that he said it was one of the best roller coasters he's ever been on.
I mean, that's good stuff. Look at this. This is the scenes of Calais Rovanpera's pits. You can see the guys there ready for action, ready to break out the tools.
Taking that big, deep inhale before the big amount of work comes in, because that car will need to be repaired when it comes back in on the recovery truck. And, a really professional setup. These guys are, these are the best of the best.
Yeah.
So they will be able to get that car fixed, as far as I can tell, unless there's anything really serious in the differential or something like that. If it's just suspension arms, they should be able to get that sorted. Adam Zalewski's on the line, though, and he's been looking at that saying, well, if Calais Rovanpera goes in the wall, maybe I should back it off a little bit, because Adam Zalewski, ex-Drift Masters champion, fires into that first corner. He's going in very aggressive as well, and I think he's going to go in as well.
Oh, wow, and he's got in as well. That's a big hit.
I think he saved it a little bit, but he's definitely brought the front in afterwards, and another 0. Rovanpera and Zalewski back-to-back zeros. That shows how difficult this track really is.
This track is very, very difficult, and I keep saying, we spoke about upsets. We spoke about how we could end up this weekend with a completely different contender in the championship. We could end up with a new name on the podium by the end of the day. It just goes to show you, Dave, you push that 10% too much, it's game over. Look at this. Oh, nice initiation. And it wasn't that extreme, not big angle, but the speed, the way he got to that second outside zone. Look, boom.
He hit it exactly where Rovanpera hit it, except where Rovanpera hit it twice with the rear end. He went back in with the front end.
Yeah.
This is going to be a good angle of this. Look, he hits it early. He tries to steer out of it, but it fires him back in, and he's just rubbed the whole side of that car all the way down that wall. There's definitely going to be some rear suspension damage, I would imagine, a little bit. That's how I drive in Gran Turismo.
That's me on a sim. When people say,
you use the edge of the track instead of the turn. Remember in NASCAR, the guy did that last year? Zalewski tried it. Didn't work.
Get it.
You got to say drifting. But a 0 on the board. Adam Zalewski in 28th position, and we hate to see anybody go on the wall. We're fans of the sport. We know these guys put their heart and soul into this. It's just so harsh to see so many talented drivers claimed victims straight away in qualifying. But you know what? It's making it interesting. It's making the championship interesting. We still have a lot of drivers in the pits right now who are, highly ranked here.
Yeah.
Winning the championship race, looking out at Rovanpera, Zalewski, these guys all going in the wall, going, should I change my strategy here? Because
this is the thing. You're sitting in the queue now. I'm going to look out the window, take a little cheeky look, see who's queuing up. There's obviously the next couple of drivers: Randaloo, Vaca, Halovnia, Heidrich. They're all sitting down right in front of where me and Dave are up in the commentary tower. And they're sitting there, Dave, and they're looking out the window, going, what do I do now?
Except for Max Heidrich, who will obviously
Max Heidrich, he's just playing.
I think we should move all those people on the first corner 3 or 4 steps back if Max Heidrich is going. But I'll tell you one thing. It is interesting to think, like, at this point in time, in the 60s is kind of scoring you in the top 32.
41 was the cut-off at the moment with Christy. 41 is the cut-off for top 32 because we've had so many zeros.
Yeah, and then look at this big damage on Rovanpera's car as he brings it back into the pit. Zalewski's out inspecting his car, which will also have big damage. I mean, that look is dramatic, but there's definite front and rear suspension damage on Zalewski's car at this point. You got to believe that hitting the concrete wall with your car, it's not going to be just straight as an arrow after that.
Yeah, I mean, do it in any car. These concrete blocks, I mean, they were saying they were over a ton each in weight.
And I'll tell you what's going through the mind of Adam Zalewski right now is he's had an engine failure in Sweden. He's come to Finland and now he's in the wall on the first qualifying run. So this is not going as smooth as he would have liked.
No, it certainly isn't. I spoke to Adam Zalewski yesterday, when he arrived at the circuit, I had a conversation with him, talking about this engine failure he had in Sweden. He said to me, I have to thank the people around me. He said, I had some very good friends that came on and they helped pay and they helped support me for the rest of the season. They helped get an engine back in that car. And you know what? Being a driver and having that help and support, the last thing you'd want to do is go out there and park the car on the wall. You'd want to go out there and put on a show and get a podium and thank those people that helped him. And now he has a lot of pressure on his shoulders, Dave, to perform in the second qualifying run.
Well, you know what?
Everyone.
I'm in the game a little while. I have watched people win events from the recovery truck.
Yeah.
Because they've come in on the recovery truck, gone back out and won the event. They've said, I've nothing to lose now. The car's already scratched up. I'm going for it. And they drive twice as well. So it can go both ways.
It can. It certainly can go both ways, Dave. But sometimes at this level, that mentality doesn't always play out.
No, and I'm watching what I would consider to be the killers, the stone cold killers on this grid, the Rovan Perez and the Zalewskis, making big errors.
The threats.
Yeah, the people that everyone's going, this guy could win this, and he's one of the favourites. And if they're struggling, I mean, I suppose a couple of the guys looking at it going, well, what chance have we? If the ex-European drift champion and the current world rally champion can't get past the first corner, what hope have I? And there's probably a couple of guys in that grid saying, plenty of hope, because I'm better than all those guys. And that's the kind of confidence you need.
If you believe.
If you believe in it, and there's time in this sport for everybody to step up, have their day and have their moment. And I think we're going to see a couple of moments like that play out over the rest of the weekend. And Zalewski obviously losing, I'd imagine, a little bit of maybe brake fluid or power steering fluid from the hit with the wall. And you can see, wow, that's an expensive body kit, ladies and gentlemen. That's some expensive wheels. But that's not going to matter at all right now. It's about getting that car back together for over-repair and get it back out for the second half of qualifying. It's taken quite the hit.
It certainly has taken quite the hit there, Dave. So 2 cars, consecutive zeros, both take it into the wall at pretty much exactly the same place.
We have no more recovery trucks because there's now currently 2 Toyotas and 2 recovery trucks, one in the pits and one out here on the track, which is, we haven't had situations like this year. We have some pretty sketchy tracks to come up against, though. We have Poland and the Pig A. That's going to be another sketchy one with all the walls. Germany's got a lot of walls. Oh, sorry, and then Riga's really fast with lots of walls.
Really fast, yeah.
So
from here on out, your car doesn't really stand much of a chance.
From here on out, things don't look as pretty.
No.
And it's a war of attrition. You've got to survive some of these rounds. And I think a lot of the guys on the grid would have looked at Finland and said, bit of a slow track, a bit technical, that'll be all right.
Not too dangerous.
And then they're looking out over the barrier now on the pit straight going, didn't expect this kind of level of risk reward on that first corner. So you can see now they're inspecting the damage on Rovan Perez's car in the pits. And I think this is going to be a simple fix if it's just suspension parts. But if it's anything more severe towards the differential or the drivetrain, that could be a worry. But let's see how it plays out. The other thing with Zalewski, same thing. If it's suspension damage, they'll get that sorted out. But if it's anything more, it could be tough. That's the roller coaster I was on earlier, Ian.
Yeah,
absolutely terrifying.
Well, it's not only a roller coaster on track, but there's a roller coaster at the back of the circuit.
Yeah, I was trying to see, could I see the track from up there, but I was too afraid I couldn't see anything. It was just a blur.
You just had your eyes closed the whole way around.
Pretty much, didn't see anything. For scientific purposes, I couldn't get any shots of the track from there or see anything. There's also a big drop of about, I'd say that's probably 20 stories behind us here. You can go up to the top, you get a great view of the track for a split second, and then you plummet to earth. So for that moment, it's great, and after that, it's terrifying again. So very interesting setup and very interesting layout.
Selling it to a lot of people, Dave.
It's fantastic. As a roller coaster, that is probably in my top 3 roller coasters I've ever been on. However, it's definitely the best roller coaster I've ever been at a drift event.
The only one.
The only one I've ever been at. It's incredible. We're here in a theme park. It's like you put, motorsport in Disneyland and just spun it around in a circle and said, there we go. There's the thing.
Right, well, there we go. We're back on the line, ready to rock and roll. It's Mikael Reichardt from the Czech Republic, ready to rock and roll. E92 BMW M3, 1,000 horsepower. He's just seen absolute carnage now. Can he hold it down? He certainly can. Shallows up the angle, though. He doesn't want to make the same risk that Rovan Perez and Zalewski made. Looks for that outside zone 4 and 7 circuit. Keeps it clean, doesn't go too wild. Snappy transition, fires him off of outside zone 5 now as he flicks the car back across the circuit, looks for the final outside zone, job done across the line. And that could be, Dave, all it takes to get yourself in the show today.
Yeah, and not the correct line through some of the course there from Michael Reichardt, but not on the recovery truck, not on the wall, and maybe that's enough, He's put in a pretty decent first corner here. I think the first corner was one of the stronger parts. Gets out to the wall pretty early, gets to that outer zone. You can see, look at this nice wall run here all the way through. Just creeping that rear wheel into that outer zone. This was good as he transitioned through here. Got a little bit wide here. This is where he just starts to drop off that outer zone, and then this for me transitions a little too snappy here, a little too early on the wrong side of the track. Lucky that curve was there because he would have been on the grass, and then he gets back up on. So it's going to bleed score for him, but score is a score right now, right?
It certainly is, Dave. A score is a score at the moment.
An interesting note that Michael Ryan was actually in a road accident on Wednesday.
Yes, Wednesday.
So
yeah.
Wednesday he was actually on his way to the airport to fly to Sweden. 74 on the board, was in a road traffic accident, and said that's enough for me this weekend, probably at the start of that run. So enough crashes in 1 week.
He's cut all the crashes out of the way already.
You do them at home rather than abroad. That's easier.
Yeah.
So we move on to the next driver. It is going to be Oliver Randalou from Estonia, two-time Estonian champion. And he finished up 6th last year in the championship. He's down the order a little bit this year. Would like a good result here. Well, stay strong while others fall down as Oliver Randalou enters 900 horsepower very wide, and then E36. He might not get away with this any moment, but he will. Luckily, that car had absolutely no strength in the back. He pushed through the wall, keeps this one going as he fires out to the outer zone. Oliver Randalou now transitioning back. This is a good line so far from Oliver Randalou. Nice and wide here. That's what you want to see. Getting kicked up onto the bank here at the end. Gets there late to the zone, but he does get there. And luckily, the back end of that E36 able to take that first wall run like a champ. Keep him on the track is an error, but not a huge one.
No, and like you say, not a lot made, not a lot of strength in the back end of that car, and that kind of saved him because, as you can see here, from the initiation, flicks the car in through outside zone 1, gets on the throttle nice and early, and he's very wide here already, and you can see he's going to make contact as he gets to the outside zone. You see that flick of dust as the wheel touches the wall. He keeps a hold of it, though. It doesn't really upset his line too much. Not a lot of steering corrections made as he touches the wall. Look, barely changes the steering angle, just jumps onto the left foot to keep the car balanced, and finishes up the run.
This will be interesting to see the hit here on the inside. Just a little bump.
Yeah, it's a little bump. It's way worse from the outside.
It did. The car took a lot of it. The driver was okay. A 79 on the board for Oliver Randalou from Estonia. Good job from Oliver Randalou. A couple of drivers sitting around that 80 mark, looking pretty strong for the second half of qualifying. A couple not looking as strong. We're moving in reverse order of the championship if you're just joining us. So as we go along, we get higher and higher in the championship order. The championship order quite a mix at the moment. Manuel Vacca, now our next driver, the Italian, 940 horsepower in this E36. Coming in pretty hot and heavy, but tentative, staying on the handbrake, not making any errors. This is good. Getting to the wall, little tag, but stays in that outer zone. Good job so far from Manuel Vacca as he transitions back. Again, now nice and wide. Look at this, to the edge of the circuit. Oh, a little delay on the little wobble on the transition just to extend it, but it does get the zone as he now puts the foot to the floor, kind of push all that 940 horsepower up to the edge. It's hard to see on the camera angle. There's a huge bank at the end of this course, which is quite an unnatural finish for a lot of these guys, pardon the pun. And as he goes into the first corner, he stays on the handbrake quite a lot. The judges won't like it, but it does allow him to get to outer zone 2 pretty okay.
Yeah, I think that, like you say, the judges aren't going to like that correction on the handbrake. But I think personally it was a clever move because what it did allow him to do was stay in outside zone 2, not make too much contact with the wall. He did have a little tag as he gets into outside zone 2. And then from the rest on out, not too many mistakes. I want to have a look at this transition to this outside zone. Yeah, I mean, look, he could have been a little bit deeper in there potentially and washed through, but nevertheless gets the job done. And at the moment, it's a score on the board where there's a lot of people falling at the first hurdle.
I'm in agreement. I think that, a score on the board, especially if it's high 70s, low 80s right now, might just be enough. And there you have it, a 70 on the board from Manuel Vacca. There was a couple of mistakes in there, a couple of wobbles on the transitions. I can see why that score dropped down a little bit from in and around the 80s. Not perfect here and there, but still a score on the board. A lot of big names dropping out. And next up we have Alex Holovnia from the Ukraine, two-time Ukrainian champion. He is an EEDC winner. He's won 10 years of drifting. Let's see if he can handle the first time ever we've come to Finland. He's got a beautiful car, this BMW M2, tons of horsepower, 800 horsepower, and he runs that carbon Kevlar rear end right up to the wall. A little wide here, but he makes it work almost over that inside zone. But this is good from Holovnia as he comes through the course. Now got to extend it here, does extend it. You can see the compression on the back of the car. That's the right line as he takes it up onto the wall. It's a fluid run, it's a fast run, it's aggressive. It's good from Alex Holovnia.
Yes, very nice from Alex Holovnia. Very, very nice. Not too wild, just, kept it clean, kept it between the lines, did what the judges wanted. Nice initiation though. Look at this. He goes for it. Goes to push wide, but doesn't really get there. But then the left foot brakes. He balances that car as he collects outside zone 2, and then he gets comfortable, pushes the car back into that zone, and then really sets himself up nicely here for the centre as he gets mid-track transition. Look at that, absolutely dialed, which gets that car perfectly through outside zone 4. For me here, bit much of an extension on the handbrake. He's going to bleed some points there from the judges, but nevertheless, he gets the job done. 79 on the board. It's a score.
Yeah, a lot of the judges scoring, hovering around the high 70s, low 80s. You got to do something special. So fast, it's taking the wrap off the car that you can see. So we move it along. Alex Alovnia putting a 79 on the board. We move on to Juha Poitalaxo.
Well, big story because he blew the engine up in practice
I was just
earlier
about
on.
to say, is this the same car?
And they had 4 hours to change the engine, and here they are, Dave.
Incredible.
Off the line. Line goes green. Poitalaxo comes off the line. Local driver wants to throw down, and he's certainly going to throw down. Look at this as he collects outside zone 2 nicely, puts the back end along the wall, discards the tail light, and look at this nice mid-track transition, goes for outside zone 4. He's super wide, absolutely ripping as he's got big speed. Little shallow on outside zone 5 now as he flicks through outside zone 6.
I'll be honest and say that is a little bit of extra horsepower for you. Is that full grandstand wishing you well?
Wishing you on.
You know, it's going to give you a little bit more adrenaline. It's going to sharpen you up a little bit. And it looks exactly what Juha did. He came out there he meant business. He was out there to try and put a good run on the board, especially if you spent the last 4 hours and most of practice, you know, out of the car because you've been trying to put an engine in it. Put an engine in it. I suppose they're a little bit more local than everybody else here.
Of course.
Got an engine in the car and back out. Brilliant run. Very little to pick apart there.
No, very smooth. But look at this, an 84. He's rewarded for it, Dave.
Yeah, 84 on the board for Juha Poitalaxo from Finland, and a lot of Finnish flags waving for every one of their drivers. They're very proud of their native heroes.
Listen to the sound of these guys. They are absolutely roaring. Every single grandstand, Dave, is full.
This is crazy.
We talk about people going too far, and we always mention this man. It is the one and only German driver, Max Heidrich. He goes full max all the time.
Yeah, his max is definitely 11, and I am worried for him right now going into that first corner. Please, Max, keep it together.
Well, let's see if he can keep it together. He goes wide on that outside zone 1. He's going to go wide to 2, and he collects it, and he gets the job done so far. Heidrich on a flyer right now. He's seen plenty of zeros, and he says, I don't want one of them. I want a 90 at least, as he goes very wide in outside zone 4. Flicks it across the circuit. He's very wide in 5, and in full throttle through 5 into 6. This is textbook from Max Heidrich. Looks for the final outside zone, tags the wall across the line. What a run from the German driver.
That's incredible. And I remember speaking to Max yesterday. We were just out on the track doing some media stuff, and he said, I said, you know, you don't want to go too fast or too aggressive into this part. And he's like, yes, but that's very boring. And I was like, I love Max Heidrich.
Yeah.
He would rather lose than drive boring.
Yeah.
And that is not a boring run. Full throttle everywhere, big angle, and what we expect from Max Heidrich: talent, speed, precision. What I like is this section from here. So whatever at the wall runs, this bit here absolutely slams through this zone. Lovely, and up onto the wall. He almost goes too fast, too aggressive. Look, gets way up there, doesn't back off, doesn't left foot brake, just says, just slam into it.
Just slam the car
It'll be
off
fine.
the wall, yeah.
It's not the first or last time it's going to see a wall. So I'm hoping the judges will see some style in that one, because we haven't watched the style. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
And 87 on the board, and that's the difference. That 15 out of 20 in style. We've watched a few good lines through it, but style has been one that a lot of these guys are suffering with. Not Max Heidrich.
No, certainly not. And he's always been a stylish driver, but sometimes just pushes that little bit too far. Well, we talk about stylish. Here's a man who turns up with a diesel Mercedes-Benz wagon. It is, of course, Teemu Peltola from Finland in this crazy 800 horsepower, 1200 Newton meter diesel wagon. Dave.
Doesn't have to make sense. Here
No,
we go.
it doesn't.
Fires into the first corner. And he's another Finnish driver. He's got a huge amount of fans here, and he's doing a good job so far as he goes through that first corner onto that inside zone. Transitions back a little snappy, but he makes it work. He extends the drift, and this is quite good so far from Teemu as he fires out really nice and wide. This is the last section. People have been struggling here. Take it up to the wall. There he goes. He's had a couple of laps on this track where they were testing it, and they look like they've paid off, because Teemu does a really good job there. And the Finnish fans could not be happier, Ian, because they're one of their hometown heroes.
Hometown hero.
Well, good job. And you know, I love the fact that I'm they give us some notes here on these drivers, and then one of the notes was, we've been struggling with this diesel setup for 15 years. And you think, well, you could have struggled less by just not having a diesel setup. But they've just kept it. It's so cool. It's so much character. I mean, it works.
It
Look at
certainly
this.
does.
They have it figured out.
And they've got it dialed. They've got it absolutely dialed. And this, for me, was a really, really nice qualifying run, to be honest with you. Little wobble there as he comes to outside zone 4. But here we go. Look, full throttle as he comes through there. Doesn't barely lift. Finishes the run. Says, hey, everyone. I'm
Hey,
here.
Ian, what do you get if you cross Lightning McQueen and Thomas the Tank Engine? You get Timo. That's what you get.
Yeah,
You get Black Smoke Racing.
85, Dave. He's rewarded for it. It was full commitment.
I liked it.
And the line was good.
It doesn't even matter because the judges don't care if you're powered by bananas. It doesn't matter to them. You've got to get the line right.
Yeah,
And he's done an incredible job there. The Finnish fans over the moon with that 85 for Timu. And you know what? There's some scores coming in now that I'm starting to get very impressed with.
yeah, exactly that. There's a lot of people now starting to step up, starting to realise that the big names are falling and that you just need that commitment and that mindset of, I can do this. We're on the line with Joachim Andersen from Sweden, 200SX, Mercedes-Benz 3.2-litre turbocharged 6-cylinder engine underneath the bonnet, 800 horsepower. What could he do as he fires in? Been struggling in practice, didn't look like the car had the power, and it looks like he's got all of the power now. Stays in outside zone 2 for as long as he can before he flicks that car across the circuit. This is nice. Very quick through the centre, deep on outside zone 5. He looks for the transition back, keeps it clean. One more outside zone to go. He's up high on the wall, across the line, and Joachim Andersen with a statement this weekend.
You know, it's funny because a lot of people will say in drifting, you can't win practice, right? So you can see Rovan Pera and Zalewski looking super comfortable in practice, and then they have a crash in qualifying. I looked at Joachim in practice and he was struggling.
He was struggling massively.
And then he comes out and absolutely smashes the first qualifying run. So nothing means anything.
No.
It's all about sitting back, enjoying the action and just, soaking it all in, because we're supposed to be up here being some sort of, and I'm using air quotes, experts. But it's so unpredictable. How can you be an expert? Joachim Andersen, for me, it looked like he had just lost a little bit of his groove in practice. Came out probably one of the best qualifying runs we've seen.
I mean, and I'm inclined to agree. It was very smooth, on the completely right line. Look at that, just brushes the bumper on the wall.
And very consistent, where you see Heinrich tagging walls and bumping a little bit. He looked super smooth.
Well, we talk about consistency. Remember Sweden when he had 2 of the identical scores? And people that are consistent are dangerous. 78, judges not liking it as much as us.
I can see a little bit of the lack of commitment and angle. I can see that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's making the difference. I think most of these guys are going to get good line scores, but style and angle. Now, if you want to see style and angle,
If you want to see commitment,
you want to look that up. And you Google style and angle and drifting, Oren Nielsen pops up straight away. He goes, if you want some, I'll give it to you.
yeah.
So Oren Nielsen from Norway, 950 horsepower. He was on his roof at the last round. So let's see what happens here as he fires in. Very wide, but he hold this.
Wow.
Oh, he's absolutely smashing into that wall. The car's had enough Oren this year, and he's still firing through. Look at this as he goes way out to the wide. Oren Nielsen is on a flyer here as he fires through. A lot of commitment, a little wobble there though as he transitions back. It's a little wild, it's a little ragged edge, and something's happened to the car.
Yeah, and I think he made big contact with the wall, and I think he broke a half shaft or a drive shaft or something in the back of that car because he kind of didn't look right on the transitions, Dave. Watch this, nice big flick to initiation. And he's known for these wild initiations. Is Oren Nielsen. I thought he was in the wall here. I didn't think he was going to make it.
I thought we were going to see another Oren Nielsen highlight reel.
Look, watch, boom, big contact with the wall. It pushed the front of the car across the circuit, and he had to find
you know what, he did well to get out of that. Really well to get out of that. But as you said, it may have done some damage because this sketchiness from here is very unlike Oren Nielsen. Yeah. It's a zero for Oren Nielsen, shutting it down.
Right before the line as well. Oh.
And he was looking good in practice. So I don't know anymore. I'm going to
forget everything you know.
I am just tearing my notes in half here. Going, I have no idea what's happening anymore. All I know is I would not like to be the rear end of a drift car today because a lot of them are going to come back looking like buggies by the end of the weekend.
If you're in a body shop or you make fiberglass panels, stand at home right now and rub your hands.
That meme, just a little hand rub. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's going to be some orders on Monday. Here we go. Next up on the line, we've got Kevin Pizur from Estonia, 870 horsepower, throwing a big old flick into that first corner. He's got wide early. Can he hold it? He can hold it. That is absolutely sensational from Kevin Pizur through that first corner. Phenomenal on the inside zone. This is the best we've seen so far as he goes wide to the edge of the track. Oh, there's a bumper coming off for some reason. He's jumped over, but it hasn't affected his run. Kevin Pizur, like a man possessed, can he get to that outer zone? If you bet your bottom dollar, he can. Unbelievable stuff from Kevin Pizur out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. To be fair to him, Dave, in practice he was on fire. Not literally, but
and I would say that's a likelihood.
He was absolutely flying. Look at this. Let's analyse this one from the get-go. Kevin Pizur gets that car positioned on the wall.
Look at this.
Dialed. Absolutely dialed on the wall. Inch perfect. And then he waits. He knows he's got it right. The transitions make sense. Look where he positions the car. Mid-track, lovely. Perfect line into outside turn 4. Oh, you can't really split many hairs on this one, Dave. I think we're looking at our top qualifier at the moment. I think
Well, you
the
know,
transition keeps it on the tarmac.
Judges wanted to see, not.
Oh, that is textbook.
Oh, I like that.
That's
I'm
textbook.
trying. I'm actually forcing myself to try and find smears there.
I don't think you can. And we're good critiques.
We are pretty
Very
good
good
at
critiques.
pretending we know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, he moved the cone on the wall with the towel light. Come on.
That
Are you not
that back
entertained?
bumper is just like, there it is.
Oh, wow.
92 for Kevin Pazur from Estonia, and 92 on the board, and a well-deserved 92 in my opinion, because that was, I said it after the first corner, it's the best I've seen anyone through there.
It's breathtaking, absolutely breathtaking. Look at this, the final, you can just see him flexing the back bumper. Well, look,
Massaging the back bumper.
but Kevin Pascotti is another guy that just feels comfortable on this track. We watched him earlier, Dave, while other guys are practicing cone flipping.
Yeah, he was taking traffic cones, trying to flip a traffic cone onto a traffic cone. I said, if he's that,
If he's
casual,
that casual, he's dangerous.
he's not phased by any of this. Here we go, Kevin Pascotti from Hungary. Fires that first corner, very aggressive. It looks like he's gonna. I don't know
He's gonna make
anymore.
it happen, Dave.
He's gonna make it happen. And again, another phenomenal wall run from Kevin Pascotti. And only when you've seen so many crashes do you start to respect how close some of these guys are getting to these walls. As Kevin Pascotti, like a man possessed, up over the hill, fires it back to that last corner. This is another phenomenal run as we see the Hungarian driver Kevin Pascotti light it up.
Well, I don't know what's happened down there, if they're handing out cans of Red Bull or what to these drivers in the queue, because they have come alive.
I mean, it's still risky, I think, that first corner. Are they just getting away with it? Because I thought this one was going in as well, but look at this, absolutely perfect. Gets there straight away.
Perfect.
Stays there.
It's absolutely perfect. Look, no real major inputs on the steering wheel. He's just keeping it balanced. The transition's perfect. Once again, I talk about it a lot, but that is so critical. Outside zone 4, not as close to the wall as you'd like to see him, but yet again, he fulfills it. Accelerates away from the drone down that hill before he transitions into that final. I want to see him on that final outside zone, and look how happy he is. But this is him. He's been doing this all day. He hasn't put a foot wrong. We've seen him have big accidents, and a 90 on the board.
Wow.
For Kevin Pascotti, and he slots himself into second position. We're seeing a new style of driver.
Imagine waking up one morning and then flipping 2 traffic cones on top of each other and then getting 90 qualifying. He'll be juggling next in the middle of the track. The man can do no wrong. We've got Adam Zalewski coming off the recovery truck in the pits right now. There's work to do there. You can see. I don't know. It's scraped the wall, but it's definitely done damage to the front wheel.
Yeah,
I wonder if it's just wheel or maybe suspension. Anyway, we'll get back to that in a moment, guys, and let you know how Adam Zalewski is doing as we move on to Benediktas Chirba. A little bit of mixed form. Had a good run out in Sweden, not a good run out in Ireland, and now sort of sitting not far off the top of the championship, I will say, but there's still a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, but another guy that's been jumping in and out of cars, and I couldn't tell you what one of the cars he's been jumping in and out of right now because he's changed so many, but now he gets himself into it, into the groove, into outside zone 2 he goes. Wanders and wavers. Looks like he fell away from it a little bit too early there. Gets the transition done, looks for outside zone 3, across there, and absolutely nails it through. Deep on outside zone 5, deeper than we've seen anyone else. He's up on the rumble strips. This is fast. You can barely keep up with Benediktas Chirba across the line. The cameraman was struggling as well.
Yeah, the cameraman was like, well, just slow down a little bit, Benediktas. I've got to do some slow pans here. That is another phenomenal. I mean, Benediktas Chirba, as I always say, a guy that can take a win on any day, any given day.
Big initiation. That was
I would have thought that was too risky there, and he got away with it, and it was really good. So the judges are going to like that line and style, or the line, yes, most guys are getting the line because you can adjust to it. But style and angle, Chirba had all of it there.
He had plenty of it. He had bucketfuls of it right now. Trying to see if there was any faults in it. It went so fast through here that I could barely keep up with him as he went through the circuit. Good transition. He was a little wide there on outside zone 6. He put a wheel on the white and blue curbing, and it was shallow on the wall. I mean, look, we're splitting hairs. We've had guys in the wall not even putting down a run.
I think a good solid run here in the first half of qualifying, which not a lot of drivers have done, is a big statement for the weekend, but it could be enough that you could push that a little bit, in the second to be uncomfortable. Because if I was sitting on a 0 now, a soft run, an easy run is not going to get you through.
No.
You got to go back to that wall, which probably caused the whole situation in the first place in the second run, and hope you don't hit it again. So people like Chirba, if we look back at some of the runs previous, this is a good place to be.